like to call to order the Capital Improvement Committee meeting of February 23rd at 3:02 PM. Matt's going to be joining us shortly, so what I'd like to do is just do these minutes real quick to give him an extra couple minutes to get in here, if everybody's had a chance to look at them. Which happened to be our first thing on the agenda anyways.
Sure. Thanks, Dick. Because they need a signature.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second that motion.
Motion's been made by Kent, seconded by Brandon. Any other discussion on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Shirley Mazinski abstains.
Yep.
I wasn't there.
You and Ellie were both had excused absences.
And I think you have to ask for individual because Ellie's on Zoom? No?
We could do it, but the voting members were in the room, but we could take a roll call vote. Shirley abstained.
Brendan Ogier, aye.
Dick Vandenberg, aye.
Ben Tessino, aye.
Ken Vincent, aye.
Mike Fitzpatrick, aye. And I just read the lips and Ellie said she abstained. You're still muted, Ellie.
Okay.
Yep, you're still muted. Nothing yet. Okay, before we get into it, we're a little way behind schedule as where we should be in this capital process, in my opinion anyways. I looked through the bylaw that we have for the capital committee. We're supposed to be actually receiving all our capital requests by July 1st. Obviously, that's not going to happen quickly, but we're going to work towards that as we move forward. Trying to do it this time of year, given the challenges that all the departments have with trying to prepare their budgets, finance committee, and the town administrator. I don't think that we should be doing this in February or March as of next week. So we'll work forward in trying to get that up to speed so we can be a little more proactive with this. So the first thing we have on the agenda would be the police department.
Unknown caller.
Afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon, Nick.
Good afternoon.
Yep. Can you go down, Shirley?
Thank you.
What's up, Mr. Chairman?
What's up? Ready to go.
Okay. Afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good.
So I submitted 2 requests this year. The newest one will be looking to replace our security cameras at the police department. We have some old cameras that need to be replaced, some wiring that needs to be done, some microphones that need to be replaced. We monitor pretty much the whole building. The cameras inside the municipal center are fairly new, so I don't think they'll need to be replaced. We may need to put them on a bigger DVR. Right now, we're running 2 systems. And what we want to do is upgrade the cameras that need to be upgraded, add some cameras, and merge those 2 systems into one. So we can monitor everything instead of having to change over to look. And Brandon can help me with this because he does a lot of our IT stuff, but one of our systems is fairly old.
Yes, that's
and,
correct.
Start to fail.
Quality's bad.
Yeah,
No audio.
right. So I went out and got 3 estimates, and I got estimates ranging from $17,000 up to $55,000. Now, I think the big discrepancy in those quotes is probably the quality of some of the cameras that were put on there, but I came up with an estimate of about, I took everything, looked at everything, and figured that we could probably do this project for about $35,000. And like I said, I think the high discrepancy in the quotes might be the different quality of cameras that were factored into doing the job. And we got about at least 16 to 20 cameras throughout the whole station.
Yeah, that's about right, yeah.
So I'd be looking to add a few in certain spots. In addition to this, we're working on a project right now with the radio project. We may have the opportunity to funnel in off that system, but that's still in the works. So I don't know exactly if that would change this number.
Funnel in,
Yeah.
tie into the network? Or?
Right, tie into the network, so I don't know, and it would more than likely, I would think, bring this number down, depending on what we do and what we add to the network, what kind of network that we run. So that's what we're looking to do on, it's pretty open and shut. We have cameras that need to be replaced, cameras that need to be added, and some of the equipment is old and we want to merge it.
How many added, chief?
Would
What are
have,
the blind spots now, would you say?
yeah, probably out in front of the building. There's a couple in the back. I'd like to have a couple moved.
Are there some that are in place now that really you don't use?
Yeah, well, there's, a lot of the ones outside are the older ones.
Right.
The quality, they were put in 10 to 15 years ago. The quality of the picture is not good. So we'd be looking to replace a couple of those.
Where you have such a range, 17 to 55,000 on your quote, you're really confident that 35,000 is going to be able to accomplish it?
I think,
What I'm concerned
Yeah.
about it is historically, we'll fund a project through capital, and then we fall short, so.
Yeah.
I'll use the fire alarm in this building. I think we went to town meeting 3 times for the fire alarm. And I'm not trying to overinflate the budget, but I
Right.
want to make sure that your requests will get the job done if it gets forwarded and approved by the,
yeah, in talking with Mark, who does a lot of our IT stuff and camera stuff, he seems to think that we can get it done for 35. And he looked at all the quotes as well, and like I said, I think a lot of it, I think the discrepancy in the highest number had a lot to do with the quality of the those were, they put in their quote, I think, top quality cameras, and we need, HD cameras, but we don't need, for certain areas, we won't need the top of the line. Everything, we'll just need the basic camera for the lower price that can get us what we need.
Do you sense it would be one of the vendors that submitted, but maybe not everything they submitted? I mean, if you have.
Oh, could be, yeah. We could call them back and, like Galaxy Integrated, they do a lot of buildings like this with video systems. And, we could call them back and say, okay, this is our budget. Let's look at it. Let's walk around again and take a look at, okay, what do we exactly need to replace? And is this camera going to suffice for this? And, should we add a camera here? What do we need to do? They'll work with us. I mean, I think we can do what we need to do with 35. I think 55 is, for what we want to do, I think the quote for 55 is extremely high, and I think Brandon will probably agree with me when he looks at that.
I think so, yeah.
You can get quality cameras at a much lower price, and even if we had to look around even more, we would buy the equipment
Yeah,
elsewhere. There's things that we could do
Right.
to
You need
make.
basically HD, night vision, all
Right.
that kind of stuff. I think I haven't looked at this in too much detail yet, but, some of the pricing differences could be the servers that are going to be used to replace it. I mean, they come by,
Right.
wide range of.
And that would be
prices
part of that too,
servers, yeah.
mentioning the server,
Right.
all the video would be on one server.
Would there be much learning of our staff if we got new stuff on just how it all works, or? is it
I don't think
pretty-
so. It's all pretty,
basic?
it's all pretty basic, especially now. I mean, it would probably be easier for us to work it
Yeah.
than the system is now. I mean, frankly, there's a handful of people in our station, Brandon being one of them, that accesses the cameras enough to where he can go right in, him and Mark, and they can zoom around and find whatever they need, because they're used to doing it and they know exactly what they're doing. It's not something that the average person uses every day until something happens and we need to go back, 2 or 3 weeks and pull something up off the video, something that may have happened in the parking lot, something that may have happened out back, the front of the building over here. So, but the way the systems are now, and right now we're running 2 systems, so if we merged it all onto one system and one server, it would be much easier for everybody. We are also, we have our interview room, we have our booking room cameras that are not good at all, the quality, those need to be replaced. So we would have to really go around when the time comes and, pick and choose what cameras we're going to replace, that need to be replaced, and what we can live with that we have. And we've replaced some here and there over the years, so there's some that are fairly new and some that are very old. So we'll be able to maintain the ones that are in good working order, add right to the system. It's mainly the server and adding some additional cameras.
And I think some are actually not even working right now,
Right.
outside.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I may? Chief, you mentioned about the radio system, and maybe some could somehow work in with that. So was that taken into consideration with your estimate?
So that, I believe, is going to be as far as used with the network for other buildings, like the school. We'll be able to we should be able to tie the school in to it might not be directly in our system here, our service system here, but it will be tied in to the school system, and we'd be able to use that line coming from the schools. Anywhere our radios are, fire station, school to here, we would be able to use that. But I don't think that, this is basically equipment that we're asking for, the cost of the equipment that's gonna be replaced. The radio project is just gonna give us the ability to have those other buildings tie in to that system.
Okay.
Am I correct?
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of?
That ties in,
I'll defer to Mr. Wojcik, because he knows
ties
more
in
about
with the fiber optics lines. What are you referring to, Matt?
So everybody understands, the new public safety radio system will link with fiber, the fire station to town hall, and town hall to the high school. Those 3 locations are gonna be tied together with a fiber optic network. And that's all we were gonna do, right? So Spectrum is gonna come and install this network to carry our radio traffic. And we were satisfied with that because of the pricing was right. We started talking to the school department about a phone system upgrade for them as well as for us. And the phone vendor said, do you have anything that links your buildings together? And we asked our IT guy, and he said, how much bandwidth will be available on the network? Well, not to get into all this technical stuff, but just call it 30. It's 30 megabits, right? In the radio system, even if there are a lot of people talking to each other back and forth, at most might use 2. That left 28 units of data, traffic, that we just won't even use. So the phone system vendor said, you can hook up security cameras for all of these buildings onto that network, your public safety radio network, and it won't interfere with the radio traffic because the radio traffic is prioritized. Now, from the asset management point of view, that means that we would fully utilize the asset that we've bought and greatly enhance the security of all our buildings, because now the police, instead of being limited to what they have here, would have access to all of this. Exactly how this will work together, I would need to investigate further, right? So I know that the multiple building network is going to have its own server, because that, we're already paying for that as part of the radio system. How that's going to connect up to what the chief does for security in his building and the specific needs he has for the cells and right outside the door and all of that. I'm perfectly happy if they need to coexist as separate items, that's fine. If we can tie them together, even better. We will try to standardize the technology, right? So just reading through these quotes, I see some things that kind of jump out at me. A vendor offering category 6 wire, but we don't support Cat 6 in this building. We only have Cat 5. So there's going to be some things that we would have to tweak. The quotes are helpful because they give you the boundaries. I think somewhere between 17 and 55 is the right answer. It's probably a lot closer to 55. Now, how much of that can we take off from the rest of what we're doing? I'm not entirely sure. We just started talking to the phone vendor like 2 weeks ago.
And that's where I came up with the 35, looked at the quotes, and like I said, and Matt said, he's already seen some things on there that could probably be changed, that will get the job done, that we can lower that. That's why, looking at each one of them and talking with Mark, we figured that we could do it for 35. And we, again, you know, we've got cameras all around this building, so we monitor the ones in here, out front of the building, outside of the gym, outside of the parking lot, out in the back, and then all our cameras inside. And, you know, we're running off two different systems. So.
You may have another opportunity to make sure that your number's correct. Because something that I overlooked, the 5-year plan, I'm gonna need that from you, even though I said that this is what I needed.
Right.
But we're gonna need a 5-year plan so it can help us put that together. We're obligated to do that.
Yeah.
So Matt, with Matt's assistance, I'm sure that you can both look at this and probably come up with a number. It could, at the end of the day, be 35.
Right.
And the only reason I stay on that is for the reasons I said, is to make sure we don't put something forward and it's under budgeted, because then it doesn't help.
Right.
It prolongs the project, and then we gotta go back and plead our case as to why we need an extra $5 to do the job. I know you had your building on there as a placeholder. We can talk about that on the next discussion with the 5-year plan.
Okay.
Probably make more sense.
Sure. Yeah, I put the building on every year.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
it's been on for
Yeah.
a while, and I put it in again, and
Good.
when you're ready to discuss it. I also have a lengthy presentation that if anybody wants to see it, I can get it to the chairman. It's probably be easier for you to look on your email and look and go through it on your computer instead of me taking an hour of your time and going through every page. But I can get that to your committee, and you can take a look at that at your leisure.
And what is it about?
It's a presentation about the police station, current state of the police station, what I think we need, what I think we're looking for the future. Basically goes through our whole building, so it's got pictures and an explanation of everything, so you can see what we're working with and what we think we need to do in the coming years. Start looking at a new building or a bigger building, or getting us some more room.
So for everybody's benefit, we just finished up a needs feasibility study group with the police, fire, and highway. And that'll be progressing and going to whichever boards and committees that it needs to go to. So that's what Nick is referring to on his report.
Well, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, sure, I will get it to the chairman, and
So you're telling me that you didn't watch any of our meetings on the needs?
I've only been on Capitol one round.
All that time we put into it, you didn't even watch it. That's okay.
Hey, he's not alone, because
But
I
I did
haven't
watch your
either.
meeting last night, so I have one up on you.
Okay.
So,
Touche.
I'll get your email from Gene, I'll send it to you direct.
Okay, so I don't know if you have anything else, Nick, but
No, that's all I had.
helpful. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Ellie, do you have any questions for Nick? I don't know if you can figure out your mic yet.
Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Whoa. No, I have no questions.
Okay, thank you.
It was all on cameras, wasn't it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, all security cameras. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. If you have any questions,
Thank
you can
you.
give me a call or shoot me an email.
Thanks a lot, Nick.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep. Have a good day.
You too.
So the next runner-up is Justin Snook from the library department.
Hi, Justin.
Hi, how are y'all doing?
Good.
Justin, before we get into it, I just want to comment on your presentation to the finance committee last night. It was a nice job.
Oh, thank you.
You're trending up on social media.
All right. So are you with the history snapshots. So I'm assuming this is why I'm here. And it's, Nick was kind of talking about having his building there as a placeholder. This is also kind of just a placeholder. 2027 is a placeholder year, and $2,800,000 is a placeholder number, because we don't know. I'm sure that the committee is familiar with, the history of the library renovation project. The trustees went for a big one time, town voted it down. And then, they came back with a pared down version, which, was still what this number is based on, because that's the last, legitimate quote by a professional that we had. But, in the years since, there's no question that the appetite for passing debt exclusion articles in this town is low. And we want to, it's the hope of the trustees that we can get the majority of a project funded without having to go that route, without having to pursue town meeting funding, which is why they set a goal of $400,000 fundraising campaign, of which over the past 2 years, we've made it up to $125,500, so 31.5% of the way towards the goal, and to use that number as a trigger point for pursuing planning. And keeping the planning simple, where, we're simply going out to bid for, an entrance to the building that is accessible, code-compliant paved parking, and an elevator to provide access to both floors and accessible public restrooms, basically getting us up to code with ADA without bells and whistles, extra fancy features, which we don't need. When I look at, the estimates and the plans drawn up by Charlie Van Hoorhus back in the early 2000s, and when I look at what we've kind of pared down our needs to be, and what we've already done, because those plans included things which have since been done to the library. The heating, air conditioning system has already been upgraded. Weatherization in the attic has already happened. Those are aspects that are not part of the project anymore. And also, just dialing back a notch on, having a big expansion with, glass, architectural features and all that stuff. I think that, we could pare down to the project to about 1/4 of the work of what was proposed in those drawings, which is why my best guess as to what it will end up costing is probably somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million. But that is a wildly estimative guess by someone with no background in architectural design or engineering. To get a more accurate number, we would have to spend money to go through planning processes, and the trustees don't want to spend that money, and we also don't want to ask the town to spend the money until there's a decent amount of cash reserved that we can use to say, hey, capital committee, we've got $400,000 on hand, can you foot the bill for the other remainder? So that's why this is kind of a placeholder, speculative kind of thing, that we've got a scope narrowed down for what we want. It's the only thing in our plan, really. This is the 5-year plan, is to just try to get as much money as we can to go into planning for an ADA renovation.
Does anybody have any questions for Justin?
Just a comment that it seems that the library may be, well, the senior center might do it too, be the only department that actually raises money for capital items, you know.
Anybody else have anything?
Don't. I heard a lot of it last night, that kind of thing, so, but, is the fundraising, Justin, been sort of in fits and starts, or has it been trickling
Yes,
in?
absolutely in fits and starts. The Friends of the Library have book sales twice a year. The fall online auctions put on by the Friends have been good moneymakers, you know, between $10,000 and $20,000 for each one so far. The trustees also get $14,000 roundabouts of grant money from the state every year, and trying to earmark as much of that at the end of the fiscal year for the building project, you know, saying, we're just going to set this aside, we're not going to spend it on anything else, we're going to save it for this. And then, you know, any other generosity that we can kind of seize upon, you know, we will.
Are there grants available for this kind of thing, library renovation and such?
Our problem, and you know, I was touching on this a little bit at FinCom last night, and I never actually finished that thought, because the MBLC, the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, provides a funding mechanism for library renovation. And that is what was tried earlier on. But their requirements that you have to meet to be eligible for their funding are astronomically above and beyond what we need. We don't need a meeting room that is separate from the rest of the building that can fit 200 people, that is lockable. We don't need, you know, we don't need nearly as much as they need. If you want to see what the MBLC thinks Douglas needs, the original plan that got voted down at town meeting in 2000 and it was before my time, I don't know. They pretty much built that library in Northborough. They took a building that was about the size of our library and built exactly what they needed to, you know, dot all the i's, cross all the t's. And if you look at the plans, they're even super, super similar. That's what the MBLC thinks Douglas needs. That's a $10 to $14 million project, which is beyond our means, it's beyond our scope, and you know, Douglas can't afford that. I mean, just the operational cost increase alone would kill our budget. I would need double the staff, we would need double the utilities. It's big, it's unnecessarily big. We have what we need, we just want to make it accessible to people and make the best use of it as we can. But since the MBLC is out there offering these construction grants, every other institution you go to for a grant is going to say, hey, isn't there already a library construction grant program? That's like the official channel you're supposed to go through for this kind of thing? And the answer is yes. But they're, you know, I love the work the MBLC does, but the building and construction piece of it, and not so much, because it does not favor small towns with small libraries who have smaller needs. Our project isn't big and flashy. It's pretty utilitarian.
Well, that answers the question. Thank you. Yeah.
But we are making progress in fundraising, and I think that, you know, we've gone from less than 15% to over 35% of the way there in 2 years. I'm hoping momentum picks up. They say money begets money, and maybe we will overshoot our goal. And then, you know, that one can dream.
Become a friend of the library and donate lots of money in your memberships. That will help. We are a 501c3 organization, and we do give a lot of money for this purpose.
So you haven't reached out to anybody to get a professional opinion as to what your project might be and what the cost might be for the...
No one who is willing to do it for free.
No, but you can get some sort of consultation or something to find out what they would charge for a set of plans. Now, maybe Matt could answer this question for me, because it comes from a procurement thing, that if it's under a certain dollar amount, it's 11%. If it's over a certain dollar amount, it's less than 11%. Is it?
There's no requirement like that.
I remember
It's
seeing
just a
something like
rule of
that in the
thumb.
stuff that we had from when we were doing RFPs for design work through the BSCC, like even with the boiler project and stuff. There was at a certain dollar amount, it was over, it was like 11%, and if it was over that dollar amount, then the percentage dropped down, is from what I remember that town engineer had supplied us, so I didn't know if that was, no, not like that. I think you're between a rock and a hard place at this point, is without, you have the idea in your head, but without taking that step forward to actually come up with a feasible plan that you could put a number to. You're taking that 2.8 million from that 2007 plan that we had, which that plan's no good anymore because the building codes have evolved since then. We're currently in the 2015 building code, and they may skip over the 18 and go right to the 21. That's typically how Massachusetts does it. They're so far behind, they'll skip a whole process and jump you up. In the fire department requirements get very stringent as they do these. I think you're still in the 15s as well, right?
Yes.
But that'll jump up and change quite a bit.
15, yeah.
As more and more of these incidents happen around, that's what drives the building change. I think you should really consider trying to define your project and getting a number that's accurate. It's kind of hard to put your head around 2.8 million when you're saying that it's associated with a project that was defined back in 2007, and you really think that it's somewhere between 500 and $1 million. I don't, if it's what we had discussed in the past, you're probably pretty close to being in that number. I know you're going to be at least 5. You could be close to $1 million if you're still talking about the accessibility that you were doing in the back with the bathroom and stuff like that.
Justin, how did you set 400,000 as the goal for the fundraising?
Just,
That seemed like a good number?
it seemed like a good number. It
Okay.
seemed like a realistic number. It's, a realistic fundraising goal to get to. And then once we had that, we figured, that, we could leverage that towards, bringing a project to completion better than saying, all right, we've got a plan, we've got a project, but no way to fund it even halfway there.
And I
If that
applaud
makes
them for
sense.
doing that. It was a very good faith effort. And I believe those plans that we've been referring to were like somewhere around $90,000 to have drawn up. And then they didn't go anywhere.
Yep. So what we don't want to do is lose $95,000 of the $125,000 we've raised so far drawing up new plans.
Yeah.
And then have them go
So
nowhere.
now you have the same mindset as the voting public that you're gonna go before.
Yep.
Because they still remember all that. So that's gonna be your stumbling block, I think, anyways. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add. Do you have anything, Ellie?
Just that the ADA is a public safety issue. The ADA need at the library is a public safety issue.
Absolutely. Yes, Ken.
Justin, your grant system, what was the name of the grant that you could apply for?
Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, there's construction planning, and then there's construction grant rounds. They announce planning phases whenever they have completed all the projects that they elected to fund in the last grant round. Right now, there's still a waiting list of, I think, 10 to 15 libraries waiting for construction funds. So they're not anticipating another planning round anytime soon. Every year, the MBLC, part of the library legislative agenda is to try to get more money earmarked for library construction. but it hasn't increased, and it's, you know, to be honest, it's not something that I've pushed our legislators to lobby for, since it wouldn't benefit us anyway.
Is there anything on the ADA grants that would be, that you could apply for?
There's Massachusetts Office on Disability grants, which we've applied for 3 or 4 years in a row, but they haven't been awarded.
Yeah.
They typically reward one big grant, one nice chunk of money per year.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of smaller projects that are like $1,000 to $2,000 a piece or even less.
Did you get any insight as to why you would have missed it?
It's just extremely competitive.
Yeah.
And bigger, better libraries closer to Boston have better grant writing capability. They have better, you know, capabilities to match, and, you know, they're just more glamorous projects, I think.
Just grasping at straws, that's all, Justin. Just
Been grasping at straws for 5 years.
Is there any, if there was a grant awarded, let's just go out on a limb and say you got a grant awarded. Is there a certain percentage that you would need to pick up? Like if I do an assistance of firefighters grant, like the brush truck, we got $250,000. Our match is, we have to kick in 5%. So take 250 divided by 2 down to 5, you know. So it's like around, I forget, $13,000 that we would have, that the town would have to contribute to get the 250. Does it work similar?
Yeah, for the MBLC grants, it's roughly half and half.
But I'm just thinking, I mean, if you
So if
got a
they
grant, you
approve-
had 400,000, you got a good chunk towards that required part, you know, of the grant if you were to be awarded one.
Yeah, but that library, MBL, whatever it is, that's the one that you said they go more for a grander project, something larger, so.
One of the first things I did, because when the trustees hired me, they really, you know, hired me to do this, to take that original building, which was the $2.5 million project, which this number is based on, and make it a reality. And I, you know, had the BFCC programs consultant, the building person, out at the library, and they had just gotten a new executive director, and he came too. And they looked at that project and said, no, there's no way we would fund this. You would need to, you know, do this and that and the other. You had a project in the past which, you know, met all the requirements. That was the really expensive one that got voted down at town meeting. And they said, you know, it's got to be that, or we won't fund it. It's got to meet those requirements. And so at that point, it was just, okay, thank you.
So it really
goodbye.
doesn't even qualify as a competitive grant then?
No.
'Cause you're competing, you should be, a competitive grant, as long, your best writer wins, not.
It's
Sort of like-
the small libraries are not happy with the MBLC grant construction program. I mean, it's great for bigger towns that are well-funded and already have a lot of money, and wants to make their libraries even better. I mean, you know, Northborough is a good example because they renovated their library in the 1980s, and then they renovated it all over again in the early 2000s, both times with MBLC money. Meanwhile, you know, smaller libraries, still waiting.
Right.
You're going to be challenged with all the same questions if you were to take your proposal as is and went to town meeting, except then you probably get bombarded worse than what you could possibly happen here. I think you need to define it to what you actually need and try to get a realistic number to be in a better position.
Which we hope to do once we have more money.
Yep. So you're just looking for a placeholder for
Yep.
this? So what we're going to be looking for is we need a 5-year plan from you as well. And I'll apologize to you as well, is I missed that and didn't ask you for that. But we're going to need that because we need to generate our 5-year plan. So if you're using it as a placeholder, put it wherever it falls in your 5-year plan and resubmit it to us. I would just ask you to seriously consider the value that you put to it. You're just grabbing a number and it's not going to help you, I don't think. But I could be wrong.
I'm hoping, you know, we will get a more accurate number, because I'll continue applying for grants to help with planning and processes, and if we get one, you know, we'll use it. We'll cooperate with the BFCC and, do what needs to be done to actually get something on the table that we can, that's a better estimate than, my Mickey Mouse math here. But we're just not there yet.
Yeah, okay.
Mike?
Yes.
I just, a few years back, town meeting voted to establish an ADA committee. And I've been busting Matt Wojcik since then. So I've really been on him about the committee. And he did appoint the building inspector at one point. And Matt, I would appreciate it if you would just add what is needed for the ADA committee, and maybe some people out there, again, will join. Because you, at that meeting, I believe, or one of the meetings, said we came very close to getting an ADA grant, but we didn't have a committee. So maybe if we got more interest in getting an ADA committee, people to join, at least when you applied, you had, the people are there, or we have the backup of what is needed. So Matt, would you care to offer what is needed as far as membership?
Well, the select board is the appointing authority, so we've begun the research into the composition of the committee. We need people who have various challenges to join.
Or
It's
associated with
specific.
people, somebody that could actually,
There's a very specific provision in the law that says who needs to be appointed. And the majority of the committee needs to be people who face various challenges. You can have one caregiver, and you can have your building commissioner. But the committee needs to be made up of people who need ADA accessible
And
places.
how many?
I'm not sure how many, it's like 5, I think. But, so we're in the process of doing that. So it wasn't waving a wand, we went to town meeting, the town meeting adopted the local option.
and we've had some interest, we haven't actually received, sorry, man, haven't
Yeah.
actually received any applications as of yet, but we've had some interest within the last couple of weeks. And we're optimistic that people are gonna come forward, but like with every other committee that we have going on in town, to get people to volunteer is a challenge.
But we don't give up on it. And
Oh, no, we haven't given up on
that's why
it.
we
Yeah.
need to know
Yeah.
specifically, and your board needs to know specifically, because then maybe working together, again, to get the right people on this committee, so that when you do write a grant, your chances are better. So again, another way to get money. Again, it was coming before building and facilities, and it was there, and I'm like, no, we have to move to do something to help them get at least the possibility of getting a grant. That's all I
Justin,
have.
have there been any success stories of our neighboring libraries getting grants from other venues like Sutton, Millbury, Blackstone, Millville, any of your fellow
Blackstone has a
Blackstone?
brand new library.
Yeah, Blackstone.
Well, they built it 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really nice library, and it's, to me, it's not huge. It's just a very nice library.
Sutton passed, they got a building grant, I think, didn't they?
It got voted down at town meeting, though.
No, yeah, it got defeated.
Their library construction, it got defeated at town meeting.
Okay.
So they had a grant. They were like poised, the same way Douglas was back in the day, to go forward and build a new library, but then it didn't pass town meeting, so.
Yeah, in Uxbridge, same thing, they got voted down before, a year or two before ours got voted down.
It's Upton, Minden, one of the towns that way is about to construct a new library Adult Social Center all in one building. Upton. And, you know, their kind of success story is that they flouted the MBLC and said, no, thank you. And did it on their own anyway, which is what I hope we can do one day.
So the smaller libraries in our Blackstone Valley haven't been real successful in getting non-MBLA grants from
No,
other,
they have not. I mean,
from other vendors, say.
it's always kind of the same story unless you have, you know, the money to match their grant, you know, already established. You know, you're always dependent on that town meeting vote. And then if, you know, the town votes it down, all those resources are out the window.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything?
Grafton made it happen, Webster made it happen, Oxford made it happen, but again, you know, those are bigger communities which had a lot more to ante up.
Well, Webster had a very
And
specific.
Grafton's took 2 or 3 times to get it passed. That was a long process, a 20-year, 25-year process too.
Anybody else have anything for Justin? Justin, you have anything else? No? You good?
Nope, I'm just gonna go try to raise some money.
Raise some money, but again, just consider what I suggested to you, to try to define your project and try to put a realistic number to it. And we do need a 5-year plan from you.
Our 5-year plan is in terms of like,
Whatever capital projection you have over the next 5 years. If you don't have anything, you don't have anything. We as a committee need to generate a 5-year plan. So you're part of that consideration. So if you have things on there, as a committee, we're gonna vote what to put on that next 5-year plan. So
yeah, I don't think we have anything. We don't have any
Yeah,
assets that are really
if you
aging
don't
out.
have
We
anything,
don't-
that's fine.
Our roof
Yeah.
is good, and our bricks just got repointed, so
Yeah.
as far as I know, we're good,
Yeah, okay.
until Adam tells me we're not.
All righty.
All right.
That's it for
Thank you.
Justin. We'll let him go.
All right,
Thank
Thank you, Justin.
Sorry you didn't have better stuff, but, you know, we'll get there.
Matt, could you join us, please? We need to set our agenda for our upcoming meetings. And if you can help me with who we have up, so we can try to split them up a little bit, and I have to be in front of finance on the 29th, so we don't have, we're gonna start moving our meetings pretty tight.
Well, everybody's submitted, right? I'm the only one who has
Yeah.
a couple items
Yeah.
outstanding. I'm just trying to get numbers.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it matters.
We can, yeah, so we have highway. We have highway, we have
Fire.
Adams with his facilities, buildings. We have the school department. Is community development submitting anything for capital?
They,
One thing.
building said that they want to put
Building
people
looks
in.
one thing.
Community development may have a software purchase.
Yeah.
Anything from water and sewer?
Like every minute of every day,
No, I know that, but just,
they've got enough. There's enough.
there's enough
moving
going on,
parts.
so we won't have them up. I
Yeah.
would like to get some sort of 5-year plan out of them if we can, just so we can consider it if they're going to be
Well, I
coming.
think they should report to you on what they have going on.
Yeah,
Because there's a lot of SRF activity outside of economic development grants. They have state revolving fund. It's basically eligibility to borrow under the program has been approved. So that's an important thing. I think you should take the schools up. And I think that because by the time we get to them on the budget, that will be late in the budget process. So if we cram everything at the end for them, it's going to be just a mad dash. So if they're otherwise occupied at the moment, if they're not otherwise occupied at the moment, now would be the time to
Yeah,
get them.
we'll put them at the beginning part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I was doing is just creating a little list, so we have a building and highways, we have the school department, the building department, the community development, water and sewer. You have something, Ken's gonna have his request.
So building and highway,
We
you've
can do
got
them
common
too.
staff there.
We'll do
so
those
it'll be more
together, Adam will
efficient.
probably present for that anyways.
This counts, the adult social center have anything?
Adam covers that, I believe, on, no?
No. I mean, Patrice was invited to, I think she did. I think she did submit something. Let me see.
She did, it's something, there's a folder for her in SharePoint. I just don't remember what it is.
Is it the covering for the ramp?
Yeah, probably.
I think she's downsizing her ADA work plan breaking it into pieces. I think there was some door replacements and restroom access. That's one project. She's breaking that apart from the outside ramp. And she's actually upsizing that outside ramp project a little bit.
For everybody here, I just got tutored on how to navigate around my SharePoint, so we'll see if that works. When I get back on my computer later on today, so that's why I'm.
Training is free. And for department heads and town staff, your SharePoint training is coming up,
Yeah,
so.
there's no other internal departments that need it, that would go through capital for anything.
I think you listed them all.
Yeah. No, but like in the past, we have had.
The
town
IT
clerk
stuff will
had-
be under my request,
Yeah.
so you don't have to worry about
The
it.
town clerk had their.
The assessor doesn't need anything.
I know that Chris keeps the vault on the town clerk thing as a revolving request.
Board of Health?
I've never, have we had Board of Health ever come in front of us? No. I guess we could check with them and make sure they don't have anything.
I get a little fuzzy in my own mind for these enterprise funds. So the Water District and the Board of Health through its transfer station proceeds and
That's
retained
probably why
earnings.
we never seen.
Whether this committee, how much say you have over that? I'm not clear on that. What was your intention? It was on your watch on the select board when that came through, wasn't it?
No, I think it was
Was it
even
before?
Yeah, but were you involved in a tie in 1970 or something? Shirley?
I don't remember.
I seen something, a newspaper article, you were involved in it. It was a,
Listen.
it was a recount or some foolish thing, you were in a tie. Oh, yeah.
Well, part of the the sewer plant was funded by the
just
town and the school department, so that's why we were involved.
Yeah.
That was before I started. But the water department has come, their funding sources has been by the enterprise fund, but they have presented projects to the capital committee.
Yes, they have.
Yeah,
But they just self-funded it.
Right.
yeah.
But there are some, like some of the debt is shared between 75, 25, between the town and
Absolutely.
the rate users.
Yeah, I'm kind of, you know, my view on this, there is the thing called the town,
Yeah.
it's bigger than all
Right.
of its departments. And that thing is Finance Committee and Capital Committee both, well, Select Board writes policy for the whole thing, FinCom writes a budget for everybody, so while in the past, Water Department budgets and capital requests kind of, there's just not very much discussion at town meeting. I can't remember the last time anybody has even asked a question on the article for the Water Department.
But
But
we,
it does go through the process.
yes,
I remember we replaced that station
yes,
because
which
it
was a
hazard.
nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a wonder somebody didn't get killed.
So the Board of Health technically is a
Yes.
department of the town. So it needs to go to capital if they want things. I think there was some, I saw some traffic about recycling bins. So let me dot my i's and cross my t's and make sure that got into the request folder.
So we have 4 weeks, 5 if we count the Monday before FinCom's
Hearing.
29 meeting. So next week, I guess let's figure out what our meeting schedule is going to be, and then we can take this list and decide who we're going to
Yeah.
put on those meetings.
Right.
Next week, which is the 28th is Monday, and then it goes to the 4th on Friday. Any particular days that are a conflict for anybody? Other than Thursdays, because I've had strict instructions that Thursday is not a good day.
The only day I'm available next week is Monday and Friday.
Monday and Friday.
Depending on the time. Are you talking 3 o'clock, the same time?
That'll be a consensus amongst everybody. If the afternoons work for people, the only one that we have to worry about when we get to 3 o'clock is Brandon, because he works 3 to 11. And these buildings, highway, school, the fire department are going to be involved conversations, so they're not going to be 10 or 15 minutes, just judging by the submissions that have come across on the SharePoint that I did find.
The last year's meetings, I think, were what time? 2 o'clock?
We're doing them around 2 o'clock because we're letting Brandon escape at around 10 minutes of 3.
Right.
Would it make sense to do them earlier in the morning? Like
It doesn't matter to me.
late morning, so that
I'm
Brandon's-
my day's screwed up anyways. I like either at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, so in the middle of my day is something I can use.
Are you available mornings, Brandon?
Yeah.
Like 10 o'clock?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just thinking,
Mornings are great for me.
why run up against losing a person on the committee if
Right.
you got to go to work?
How about you, Ben?
I can come whenever.
Shirley? Monday morning at 10 o'clock?
Monday morning at 10 o'clock.
I'm just trying to be a little
Yes,
more
the
proactive.
28th.
And I have to check with Matt. too, because
28th.
His plate's a little over full as well.
I
But
can't come on Monday, this Monday, but I can come any other day at 10 o'clock.
can you zoom in on Monday?
No, I have to clean this Vermont house again.
Well,
My
stop,
niece is
do
coming
it.
this weekend, my nephew's coming next week, so it's, and so I will actually be up and back in one day on Mondays, just to clean the house for my nephew.
Yeah, so unfortunately, because of a time crunch on our schedule, and we have a pretty healthy plate, I would still like to meet on Monday. Even
The 28th.
the 28th.
Yeah.
Because
At
then.
10?
Excuse me?
10?
10 o'clock's fine. Is that, well, I didn't check with Matt yet. That works for you?
Yeah. Eugene.
Does that work for you,
You
Gene? Yeah. And I apologize, Ellie, but
That's okay.
I just need to be able to push this forward, because if we get too far to the end, we're not gonna meet with people. And we still have to
Yeah.
make our decision when we get through all this stuff, so we don't have a lot of time.
Would it make sense, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
To try to do Mondays at 10 on a regular basis? That way if we get bamboozled or sideswiped, we have some time to react later in the week?
Just thinking first, you guys have your EOC meetings on Monday mornings. How is that gonna,
Those are at 9, right?
I know that,
So
but
remember, we said we're not going to do that.
Oh, that's right, too, yes.
So we're not doing that now.
Yeah.
We're going to hold off, because it's a time suck, it's an expensive meeting. So the emergency not really being as pressing as it was.
okay.
We're going to just,
I just happened to think about it. I'm like, we're gonna dominate your whole morning, and you're gonna,
we have a project update from Public Safety Radio, but that's usually 10 minutes. That's at 9:30. so.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gives, if we use the Mondays as our baseline, that gives us 5 meetings. We need at least one, hopefully we can start talking about this as we go through the process, just to try to, even if we work on the 5-year plan, because we need to get the stuff in place so we can submit it.
Excuse me.
I would like to meet on Monday, and then if we find that we need some extra time, we'll see how this Monday goes, and if we think we're gonna be tight, maybe we pick up the Friday or something. Well, no, Friday's the day off. You're here on Friday, right? Gene, you here on Friday?
Jean's typically here.
Depends on the Friday. I am
Most
taking,
Fridays I'm here.
She's got one vacation day coming up.
Yeah,
I'm taking the
fourth?
4th off,
yeah.
yeah.
And I'm not looking to do it, I'm just trying to think ahead of, so to make sure that we can accomplish what we're trying to do.
And I am I have my annual school, which is Monday, the 14th, 15th, so I will be out of the office those 2 days. I'll be in Amherst.
The longest meeting that you have is when you rate the proposals and you establish. That process takes
Yeah.
a couple hours.
Who do we want on this Monday? We have, so let's take the 3 biggest ones and separate them. It might make sense to do that first. Because so you're gonna have Adam with buildings and highways, right? And then you have the school department, and you have the fire department. You think your presentation's gonna be involved with the fire department?
I only have what? I only have 5 or 6 items through 2027. I did a 5-year plan and I actually
Yeah.
did a 10
Yeah.
10 years.
The 5-year plan's important, but I always concentrate on the year that we're trying to get accomplished.
Right, well, I've got like 5 items
so-
on for this year, I think, 5 or 6, I forget.
Okay.
But it's nothing anyone hasn't heard before.
No, I know, yep. So community development can't be that much, building department can't be that much, so those 2 can go together, right?
So are you saying that one for the 28th?
No.
Oh.
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a group so we know what the plan is going forward. We could probably have, because those are pretty quick, we could probably put them with Adam, right?
So Mike, do all of the people that come before us have something prepared in writing?
Yes. Yep.
Can that be emailed to us before the meeting?
Yeah, that's gonna be on that'll be on the SharePoint.
Because I didn't know we had a meeting until yesterday, somebody.
That was my fault. That was my fault.
So if I go to-
It was a last minute, it was a confusing day.
So if I go to
We finally got the agenda posted, and that was like a success, but we kind of overlooked adding you onto it, so, and that was my fault, because I was telling Lisa, yeah, this one, yeah, I think we got them all. And then I watched your meeting last night, and luckily your camera was still live, and I seen, oh, yeah. So that's why I sent you an email this morning.
Mr. Chairman, does everybody on Capitol have access to the SharePoint?
I'm not sure.
I haven't been.
So I attempted to create it using people's home email
Yep.
address.
Okay.
That doesn't work with our security,
Oh, that makes sense.
.gov.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you might have been able to see things, but you wouldn't really have been able to interact with anything, do anything with it. So only those members who are either on the select board or on finance committee, or who are a town department head or a town employee, would have access because they're inside our,
Because we have a government email.
So when we present, will it be up on the board here?
so that would be the goal. We can put it on that board and distribute
share it
hard
to
copies
like-
like we always do.
Share it to like Ellie if she's not here, or
Yeah, so
share screen?
Yeah, so this is our Zoom account, so we can share the screen and she can follow along.
Okay.
But Ellie has email too, so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can email her over ahead of time what it's gonna be before.
yeah. So everybody understands, there's a price associated with a town account. It's, a couple $100 a year. So I'm going to phase it in over time. I'm not going to try to do it all at once. Giving everybody a town address, it's kind of pricey.
So just check the SharePoint for whatever paperwork, for whatever capital meeting is coming up, when they come up. Is that,
That's the
A
goal.
lot of it's there already.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so as a user now,
And I've been told that. I just have to push all the buttons.
I'll make sure you're on the user list,
Yeah.
but the icon should show up along with your FinCom.
Okay.
And all the folders will come up, and you can look at everything that's coming up.
Forever, because that's our archive.
Which I discovered today that when you go on your SharePoint and that bar comes up and it has the description in it, but then you have the little square bar, that if you click on that description, it only pulls up that last document you looked at. You got to click on the little square box and then go to the three little bars, click on that, and it brings the menu down that you're looking for all your folders and files and stuff.
Secret handshake, secret,
Like the stick, right?
That's the only thing I got for Phi Beta Kappa, was the stupid.
And what messed me up was it was live, so the blank form, I kept saving it, and just erased the
Kent was
blank
attempting to
form.
destroy the whole system.
He was trying.
He's trying to rig it so that the fire engine was the only request we
It
could.
didn't give you anything, right, Ken? So
I
get
got
rid of
done,
it.
though.
We did get it done.
All right.
So Matt, is your presentation going to be fairly long?
No, so I have two items. One will be the recommendation to the committee for spending on roads. And the other will be the telephone system, shared telephone system with the school department.
Yeah.
Actually, townwide telephone system. That has opened up this unexpected opportunity to have a place to put all the security video. So those would be the two things.
So when I log on to SharePoint going forward, Matt, will I get another thing that says capital then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so looking through this, it might not be as scary as we think it is. We need to put on the school department on, and I don't know if Monday's going to be too short for them. We might have to put them on to the 7th to give them time to do it. We got to give them some notice, so maybe
Let
we
me check
put,
my personal schedule, because I share a meeting with them. You want them on the 28th?
who?
Schools?
You don't want them on the end because we have to grade
No,
it.
I don't.
No, we don't want them either because we have to grade it. I'd rather bring them up around the 7th if we
Could you do
could.
the 7th?
If we do the schools on the 7th,
We have a protracted discussion Monday night. That'll take us part of the day to prepare for, so they're not a good time.
The
7th.
14th?
You said, no, the 7th
Oh.
is okay. The 28th is not.
we could probably put water and sewer with them at the same time because they're basically going to be updating us, correct? Bringing us up to speed.
Yeah, the documents are, I
Yeah.
have them all.
So why don't we put water and sewer on with them as well? On the 28th, I think if we put Adam with buildings and highway, and then we can put the building department, building inspector, and community development director on at the same time. They'll be on this coming Monday. So that leaves us with the fire. You want to do the 14th?
Sure.
Yeah. 3/14 on fire. So other than Matt, we have the town clerk, which is most likely going to have her a vault on there, records vault, that she'll, so that'll be a pretty simple process.
Which
With
one?
what her list is,
Which
the
one?
clerk.
Yeah.
So
which
I'm
one?
just going to go through what I'm
Okay.
looking at,
Yep.
and then we can decide. Ideally, what I would like to do is try to, by the 14th, get everybody before us. And then we have 2 full meetings to do our scoring. I don't want to wait until the 28th to try to score it, because I'll have to call in sick to the finance committee meeting or something. All right, so we have the clerk, is pretty simple. Patrice, you think that'll be fairly straightforward too, Matt?
Yeah.
So, and then the other, so why don't we see if the clerk has anything, we'll just have her come in with the, either on the 7th or the 28th. I think she's only gonna have very little to talk to us about. Why don't we just bring her in on the 28th, and then we'll be done with her, and then we'll bring.
The 28th?
28th for the town clerk. Yeah, 2/28. And then we can put Patrice in on the 7th.
Who else you got coming in with the town clerk?
On the 28th, we have the town clerk, community development, the building inspector, and Adam.
Building and highway. That's a pretty full meeting.
That'll be a pretty full meeting, yeah. And then on the 14th, we can do town administrator with the fire department and Patrice.
So Mike, are we going to meet every Monday then?
Yes, every Monday at 10 o'clock.
Okay, got it.
If after this coming Monday, if we feel that we need to stick another meeting in there and break these up, if somebody, we think about it and say, you know what, we're kind of crazy, we should be open to that. But just to get some sort of schedule now, I'd really like to give us a couple weeks to do our scoring thing. Even if at the end we got to sneak an extra meeting in because we have questions or whatever, it might be a good idea. 14th is Matt and Patrice. And hopefully we haven't missed anybody on our capital things, but I don't think so. I think we got it. All right, so if we're good on that, entertain a motion to adjourn unless somebody has
So
anything
moved.
else.
Second?
Motion made by Shirley Mazinski, seconded by Ellie Chesbro. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.